friends, welcome back to the Craft Castle. My name is Ashley, and today we quite possibly are going to be making one of the prettiest cake toppers you will ever make. Recently my daughter turned 18 and I made a cake topper that was wildflower themed with a little bit of mirror gold because my daughter loves wildflowers. When I posted it on my Instagram, one of my Instagram girlfriends that I've known for years, she recently had a baby and she saw it and was like, oh my gosh, please make me this cake topper to celebrate my new baby's arrival. And although I'm a crafter that's not doing commission work anymore, I could not help but say yes, because I would be a terrible Instagram auntie if I didn't say yes to this request. I love celebrating new babies. So today we're gonna make a cake topper for her and her daughter, and it's gonna be the prettiest cake topper you could possibly ever make. And it's actually really easy to make. It's very simple. That being said, I'm going to be using my xTool P2 for this project because I am going to be cutting clear and mirror acrylic. xTool, the only laser that can cut all acrylics, is the CO2 laser, which is the xTool P2. The reason why I am not doing my design work within the xTool program today is sometimes their program can be a little glitchy, but two, not have all the features that I want it to have. That being said, I am just gonna do all of my design work within Inkscape. Inkscape is a free design program. If you're new here on my channel, I absolutely love Inkscape because it is free. I am a frugal crafter, and if anything is free and I can figure out how it works for me, I am going to use it, and Inkscape is 100% free. I've been using it for years. So we are gonna do our design work within Inkscape. The beauty of this is if you do not have an xTool, you can save this file as an SVG file and upload it to any other laser. So I used to have a Glowforge, and you would be able to upload your files from Inkscape to the Glowforge and use Glowforge. So it doesn't matter what laser you have, you'll still be able to do this tutorial. And then after we're done, I'm gonna show you how to upload your SVG files over into xTool and then how to cut it. It's really simple and really easy. It may sound a little overwhelming right now, but trust me, it's very simple. Are you ready to get started? Let's go. Okay, before we get started, one thing to note. If your Inkscape version looks different than my Inkscape version, don't worry. This tutorial will work for you. All the buttons are there, they just look different, but there are different versions of Inkscape. Okay, this is a new window in Inkscape. This white box rectangle right here is our canvas or working area. The very first thing I want to do is build what the flowers are going to hook onto with our cake topper. So I'm going to insert this circle right here, and I'm just gonna make a circle. You can make it any size you want, any shape as of right now. When I drag and drop my circle, I'm gonna come up here into the arrow, and I'm gonna change this over from millimeters to inches. I'm gonna make sure that this right here is unlocked, and I'm just gonna resize this. So the entire cake topper, like the outside portion of my cake topper, I want that to be 6 inches. So I'm gonna do 6 right here, tab, and do 6 again, and press tab. So this right here is a perfect circle. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lock it up. Okay, let's just change this to a different color just so we can see what we're doing. Okay, now what I wanna do is I wanna press Command D, which is duplicate. If you don't wanna do your keyboard shortcuts, you can always come up here to edit, and there's duplicate right here. Okay, it will look like nothing happened, but let's change this to a different color. With our duplicated circle, what you wanna do is now resize this, making sure that this right here is still locked. We are going to resize this to 5.5 and then press enter. Okay, now what you wanna do is select both circles that you've now created, and we want to align this vertically and align this horizontally. So now your one circle is completely centered inside the original circle. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is selecting both circles, I'm gonna Command Shift and the minus key. What we've just done is taking that second circle, we have sliced it inside of the original circle. If you did not want to do your keyboard shortcuts, what you could have done is having both of these selected, you can come up here into Path and then Difference. Okay, now what I want to do is slice this straight through the middle. So I am going to insert a rectangle and I'm just gonna draw a rectangle. Anywhere is fine. Okay, then what I wanna do is take and click this selector tool. Okay, the outside portion of our circle is 6 inches. So half of that would be 3. So I'm gonna click on this now rectangle. I'm gonna uncheck this right here, and I'm gonna make my height 3 inches. Then what I'm going to do is selecting our rectangle, shift on our keyboard and that circle, or you could have just selected both like this. I'm gonna align it to the center, and then I'm going to come up here and I'm gonna align the top edges together. So this bottom line right here is the direct center of our cake topper. I am just going to now take this top arrow and make it just a little bit bigger. Now what I'm gonna do is select both the rectangle and that weird shaped circle, and I'm gonna Command Shift and the minus key again, and now we have this like moon shape curve. This is what we're gonna use to tie on our wildflowers. Okay, every cake topper needs a cake stick, so we're gonna go back into the rectangle tool, and I'm just gonna come down here and I'm gonna make a cake stick. Okay, I'm just gonna do any size right now, but putting it at the bottom. I'm gonna click my arrow tool. Okay, I love making cake sticks 0.5 inches wide, making sure that this is unlocked, and just press 0.5. Now, cake topper sticks truly just depend on how the crafter and how long you wanna make them. I don't like to make them very long, but I definitely don't like to make them short. 4 inches seems pretty good. I like that length. It's all right. I don't really have like a, you need to do this size, whatever. It's just however I'm feeling that day, I guess. Okay, when you're done doing that, you want to select both that half moon shaped thing and also our stick that we're creating. We're going to align this to the center. You want to make sure that your stick is in the center of your cake topper. When that's done, you want to press Command Shift and the plus sign. Now we've just welded this together. If you did not want to do your keyboard shortcuts, you could have gone into Path and then Union. Okay, so technically, if you didn't want to add in a name or an age or anything like that, and you just wanted to cut this out on clear acrylic, you totally could, because you would tie in your wildflowers to this little dome moon thing. However, I want to put a name on my cake topper. So what I'm gonna do is come over here into this letter font box, click on that, and we're just going to insert the font into wherever on Inkscape. Okay, I'm gonna put the name that I want. And for some reason, I have a very interesting font. That's okay. I'm gonna come over here to this T and I'm gonna click on it. So this box is going to pop up. This is going to be our text box. Okay, now I am going to find the font that I want to use. For this project, I'm gonna use a downloaded font from Creative Fabrica called Barbie. And then I'm gonna press Apply. Okay, when you're done doing that, then all you want to do is click on the selector tool, and now let's zoom in, pressing the plus sign on our keyboard. We're zooming in on wildly. Let's just drag this down onto our canvas just so we don't have a weird mark in it. Okay, this particular font, I love that everything is pretty much already connected together. However, if we cut this out, the W and the dot of the I is going to disconnect from the rest of the letters, I-L-D-Y. So we would have two separate pieces. So what I want to do is create something that will connect it all together. Before we do that though, I'm going to make sure that this is locked right here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to resize this to where it's going to touch this end of my moon. We're going to resize this until that fits on the other side of the moon. Let's zoom out. Okay, let's press Command A or select all. And I'm going to go back over here into this align tool, and I'm going to align this horizontally. I want to make sure that my name is centered onto my cake topper. Okay, it looks like even when I did the align into the center, that everything over here on the right, we still have connecting pieces, and then over here on the left, we have connecting pieces. So taking the name wildly, I'm just gonna Command D, which is duplicate, and I'm gonna drag this up. We're gonna move this out of the way. So the cake topper itself is going to be made out of clear acrylic, and the name I'm going to cut out in mirror acrylic. The clear acrylic is not only going to hold my flowers, but also is going to be where I glue my name on top of the cake topper. So remember what I said, I want this eye to be connected. So what I'm going to do is just insert this rectangle tool, and I'm just going to make a little rectangle. We can change this to a different color so we can see what we're doing. And then I'm going to press this arrow tool. I am just going to rearrange this pink rectangle to fit in between this heart. Okay, now what I want to do is selecting the original Wildly. I'm going to Command Shift C, which is creating a path. Then I'm going to Command Shift G. And then what I'm going to do, let's just zoom out using the minus key. I'm going to select the moon with the cake stick, that rectangle, and also the name. And I'm going to Command Shift and the plus sign. So we have welded everything together. So when we cut this portion right here is going to be only cut in clear acrylic. Then what I'm going to do is cut this out on mirror gold acrylic. So when we are done cutting, this mirror gold is going to get glued right on top of the clear acrylic. Because we cut this in clear, this rectangle right here, you won't be able to see. Okay, now what we want to do is this right here is still technically a text box. If you were to open this up in your xTool or in Glowforge, or even if you were trying to cut this out on your Cricut, what you would get is an error message that says there's still a text path and it's been deleted from the file. That's because this is still a text path. What we want to do is change it to a cutting path. So what you want to do is Command Shift C, which is also, if you came up here into path, it's just object to path. Okay, then what you want to do is Command Shift and G, which is ungroup, and then Command Shift and the plus sign, which is weld. How you know you've done the perfect steps, you would click on the name Wildly, you would click this nodes tool. Let's zoom in. Do you see how there's no extra nodes right here and right here? Everything and all your connections are there's nothing there. That means that you have fully connected the whole cursive name. You're good to go. Okay, we're gonna press the selector tool and let's zoom out using the minus key. Okay, when we cut mirror acrylic, it is very important that you cut with the mirror side facing down. Two reasons for that. One, the reflection of the mirror, depending on the laser that you're using, it will mess up your mirrors and your laser because it's reflecting back. And it really does not do your laser cutter well if you're cutting with the mirror side up. Secondly, flashback. If you have a lot of flashback, what happens is that mirror, because the mirror on acrylic is just a coating, like a gray coating, if you have a lot of flashback, your mirror coating will start to ripple and then you'll get terrible cuts. Having the mirror coating facing up, you are limiting the amount of flashback or soot or smoke, so you never have bad cuts. So now with just the name, we are going to come up here and we are going to flip this horizontally. Okay, let me put this down onto our workspace, both of these things onto our workspace. Okay, selecting both of these. Depending on your laser, some lasers are a little bit more finicky than others. If you left it like this, technically it's cut files. If you were to upload it into Cricut Design Space, they would recognize that all of this is a cut file. However, in certain laser cutters, they're a little bit more finicky and you have to have the right line width, the right colors, the right everything, you know? So I'm just gonna help set this up as if you have one of those finicky laser cutters. So selecting both of your pieces, what we're gonna do is we are gonna come down here and we are going to right click on your fill color and we're gonna say remove fill. Then what you wanna do is come to the stroke where mine says unset, yours might say something different, but just come over here to this imaginary box that's right there and we're gonna right click and we wanna change this to black. Then what you wanna do is coming over here to this number. This is what our stroke is. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna right click that and I'm gonna go to 0.1. Okay, that is essentially it. Now all you want to do is file and save as. Okay, I'm gonna save this as very simple, Wildly cake topper. Okay, and at this point, what you can do is come down here. Now mine's already set to plain SVG. Most of the time, your SVG files in Inkscape get saved as an Inkscape SVG. what you would want to do is just click that and click on plain SVG. There is also a ton of different files. If you have another program that needs a different file, they have all these different files, but I always suggest to save as a plain SVG, and then you just want to press save. Okay, going over into the xTool program, because remember what I said, we are going to be uploading this into xTool. So I am going to find my file and I'm going to drag and drop it into xTool. And this right here is exactly what we want. Okay, now what we want to do is go turn on our xTool. If you have a honeycomb tray, put that in. I only have the slats, so what I'm going to do right now, my xTool has it set up to where all the slats are together. I want a little bit more breathing room when it comes to acrylic. So I'm just going to readjust these to where it's every other slat. Okay, with my slats rearranged, I am going to put in a little bit of clear acrylic. This stuff is proof grade material from Glowforge. I had a whole bunch left over. I'm just going to set that down over here. And this right here is just a piece of mirror gold acrylic. Remember what I said, you want to put your mirror side facing down. So that ugly gray thing, that is what is going to be facing up. Okay, now that we have this all set up, now all we want to do is shut our laser and go back to the computer. Okay, now over to the laser, we want to just press refresh on our program. And here is a real-time look as to what our bed looks like. Okay, I am going to click out of that and I'm going to come over here to material and I'm going to choose the 3mm transparent acrylic. I'm also going to take this little aiming tool and I'm going to put it on top of one of the material that I'll be cutting. Now, while that's done, I'm going to drag this wildly and I'm going to put it over here on my gold acrylic that I'm going to be using. And it looks like the very end of my Y is going to be cut out. So I'm just going to rotate this so it fits into my acrylic. Then I'm going to take this one and put this on top of my clear acrylic. Okay, everything looks like it's going to fit. So then I'm going to select both of these. I'm going to come over here into cut. Now, the speed and power of which xTool says is going to cut, I actually prefer those. So I'm going to leave it alone, but just make sure that if we're cutting this, we want to be on the cut. Now what you want to do is just press process and then press start. Okay, going over to the xTool, I turned on my exhaust fan and now what you want to do is just press that magic button. Okay, now that that's done, you just want to open your lid. Okay, then we're just going to take out our acrylic. You want to be gentle with acrylic. It is pretty fragile. This cut out absolutely perfect. And here is our mirror gold acrylic. And look at that. It cut out so good. Zero issues. No charring or smoke or anything like that. Perfection. Okay, now let's go assemble our cake topper. Okay, I forgot to mention that this cake topper took 3.5 minutes to cut out. It was actually really quick. Okay, I'm going to take just my weeding pick and I am going to remove the masking tape off of my acrylic, clear acrylic. I'm going to leave my masking or this like plastic masking on my mirror acrylic because that picks up fingerprints very, very easily. So I want to just keep that with the masking tape on. Okay, you will notice that I kept the masking tape on my stick portion of this because I'm going to be handling this while making it. I want to keep this as clean as possible. So I'm just going to keep the masking tape off. When I'm done assembling everything, I'm going to peel this off, but it's going to be hard to see because it is clear, but here is the cake topper. Okay, for this next portion, you're just going to need some scissors, your silicone glue, that's gonna be for later. And then you'll need at least 2 of these, so we're just gonna pull out 2. And I like these ones because they seem to be a little bit more like easier to manage when I am assembling the thing instead of like having a big, huge winding dowel because this hole right here isn't very big. Okay, so this next step is definitely just going to be however you feel like you want to arrange your flowers. So all I do is like take my flowers and I'm just kind of tearing them apart. I'm only going to focus on one side right now because whatever I do to the one side, I'm going to replicate that over on the left or on the other side. Okay, so essentially I have this arranged in exactly the way I want to. You want to make sure and like kind of stagger this so it goes through the entire moon.
I'm only going to work on like the left side first, but this is how I want it to be arranged pretty much. Now it's not going to look exactly like that, but you know, this is kind of like a dry fitting. Okay, so what I'm doing is, it will be hard to see because it's clear, but here is the very base of the moon. I'm going to put like the back of my greenery right here. And then, oh, I've already lost what I was going to do for the next one. Okay, so I'm going to stack these two together like this, okay? Then taking my wire, my floral wire, I'm going to wrap this around my clear moon. So that moon that we created, I'm going to wrap the wire around that. And I'm going to be moving down to here. Now I'm going to wrap it a couple times. And then I'm going to add in another flower or greenery or whatever. And we're going to move down. As you move down, you are also going to put your flowers down. Okay, I have it like this over the top of my wire. So I'm going to hold this down and I'm going to wrap the wire around my stem. You want to pull tight. You don't want these flowers to be loose. And you want to pull really tight. Okay, the other thing too is you want to make sure that there's no wire or anything that's going to lay where the name is going to lay. So here is that W. When I glue this on top of it, do you see how it misses the wire and everything? That's perfect. Okay, doing the same thing that we've done. We're just going to add in another flower, moving down, and then we're going to wrap the wire around, pulling tight. Now, the other thing to note is acrylic is very fragile. So you want to make sure that you're not going, like you're holding the acrylic as you pull tight, and you don't want to really tug and bend the acrylic because it will break. Okay, and so for this one, because I have a little bit of stem right here, you want to hide your floral wire kind of in between the stem of the flower. You don't want it to squish the look of what's going on here. Okay, so my daisy I put on the back side of this, and then I have a pink flower. We're just going to wrap it around, doing the same things that we have been doing for everything else. Okay, so there is side one that I've completed. Okay, now what I'm going to do is just take these extras that did not get put in, and I'm just going to trim them off because it's going to be very bulky on the bottom if you don't. Isn't that going to be so beautiful? Okay, doing the same thing that we did over on the left side. Now we're just going to take the flowers that we've used. Okay, that's going to look really good together. So we're just going to take that off. And doing the same thing we did before, we are going to arrange these to where they fit onto our cake topper. Okay, I've reached the middle point with my cake topper. You can see that we have like green floral wire here. So in order to hide that, let me trim off the end of this. I'm just going to bring some of these stems and I'm going to put it up to where they kind of fall over that floral wire on the left side. So just like that. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit more greenery and I'm just going to try and fill in this left side a little bit, or the right side a little bit. Okay, so technically this is finished. However, I am struggling with like this right here, right? Like we can still see our floral wire. So what I'm going to do is take some flowers and I am just going to hot glue them on top of the rest of the florals, just so then they will stay like that and then you can't see that floral wire anymore. Now taking your silicone glue or any glue that you use to glue your acrylic. Remember, I am not going to take the masking tape off. I'm going to wait until this dries all the way before I take the masking tape off. But I'm just going to take a little bit of silicone glue and I'm going to place it onto the clear portion of this cake topper. Okay, so there is the finished cake topper. Now it's not completely dry. Remember when we welded that rectangle? See how you can't even see that? But the entire name is connected on the back for stability. It's exactly why we did a small little rectangle and why we're using clear, because then you won't be able to see it. But look at how beautiful this cake topper is. Let me put it on the back of this right here. so you can get a better look at that. But look at how beautiful this is. Turned out so stinking cute. Then, once everything's dry, you could rearrange the flowers if you wanted to spread them out. But isn't this thing so stinking gorgeous? Okay, so now I have to know, is this the most beautiful cake topper you have ever seen or what? All right, y'all, I sure hope I inspired you to create, and I'll see you later.